Hi, welcome into Siren and Whispers, Pisces. I recorded a whole video with no mic on, and it was such a juicy reading. It'll be interesting to see if any of the same cards come out. Sweet tea. Oh, goodness me, Pisces. So apply this to your Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus and North Node. Cross watchers, roles can be reversed. This reading is general. Please remember that. So situations may have already happened, or going to happen, or currently happening. The energies are interchangeable. Keep an open mind and use your discernment with tarot, okay, Pisces? Okay, so we're looking at the general energy with Pisces at the moment in their situation, person in mind. So you may have someone who completely shut down communication, Pisces, ghosted, and it's got you, yes, out of unknowing. It's got you feeling confused, wondering what you did. I'm feeling perhaps you overgave to the situation, Pisces. You're very sensitive. I've got a Pisces in Venus, and sometimes we can project a level of quote unquote goodness onto a person. You know, we have to remember that not everyone does have the same intentions. So, harbor of peace. We're trying to find your own harbor of peace at the moment and trying not to get lost in the chaos of your own mind. Duality, you could be dealing with a Gemini. Winds of Fortune. So, wins fantasy. Maybe it was a situation where it felt more like a fantasy relationship rather than grounded in reality. The movie It can be symbolic. Maybe you're going through feelings of disgust now, Pisces, wondering why did I put up with half of the BS that was coming my way. But you're a healer and a giver, Pisces. May have been a stormy, tumultuous relationship, waiting for the winds of change to happen. Emerging dawn. So new beginnings are on the horizon. Spirit is asking you to keep pushing, keep moving ahead. Don't live in resentment, don't live in the past. Believe whenever people show themselves, believe who they are. And that doesn't mean you have to change your character, you just are discerning. You keep your boundaries up, and you survey, you watch, you observe, until someone proves to you trustworthy enough to stay in your life, to be in your life. Ooh. So, going on Pisces energy at the moment. Situations. So completion. You may have lost someone close recently, Pisces. My love goes out to you if that's it is. Loss is a part of life, but it's very difficult. End of a cycle, Pisces. You've shed old versions of yourself. You know, I feel that you're in this, you felt silly. You know, you felt, why did I give so much passion and love into someone who it wasn't ready to give it and to pour into me in the same way? And I mean energetically, on an effort, on the basis of effort, not necessarily an action, as everyone shows love in a different way. So you could be in healthcare, a healer. You like to be of service, Pisces. But right now it's about forgiving yourself, healing that inner child. Because the fantasy land, you know, maybe sometimes I'm a Pisces Venus, so we do get lost up in the idea of love sometimes because we are so loving, we are so soft, and we have that tendency to want to fix and heal someone. But people take advantage of that. Could be dealing, or you could be in a world where looks are important, you know, the exterior. So you could work in fashion, you could work in makeup, you could be an influencer, or you could be dealing with someone who's an influencer, someone who's into cosmetics, aesthetics, beauty. You could be looking after the elderly. You could be looking after a caregiver right now, or somebody in this connection. Someone may have went through loss. Someone could be in the military. I'm feeling it's more, obviously take what resonates. You know, you're grieving the what ifs. You thought this connection was going to be the final one and everything was going to be great. And I think this person pulled communication, pulled everything from under the rug. And you thought it was going great, and they just stonewalled and they just ghosted. They didn't consider your feelings. So it left you in a state of confusion. You're trying to heal your inner child. You're trying to forgive yourself for not seeing signs, but it was set up in a way that you're not supposed to see. I mean, how's anyone going to predict that someone's going to ghost unless someone opens up about their attachment style and says, oh, you know, I've got the propensity to just shut down and ghost for a while. Wouldn't life be so much easier if everybody did that? And sometimes, you know, especially if people aren't aware of it, sometimes it's on a subconscious level. The healing starts when you recognize, but you really have to choose. You have to be ethical in your stance when it comes to dating. And a lot of people don't ethically date. That's the problem, because they think if they're upfront with someone, no one's going to give them a chance in the first place. So you really have to be solid in yourself and in your identity and not have that fear, not be driven by fear. And I think you were connected to someone, Pisces, who was very much driven by fear. You know, facing yourself, this connection has made you face yourself. That you could be dealing with someone who is very stuck in the shallow end of the pool, very focused on the exterior and how it looks to everyone else, rather than really doing some inner soul searching. They took advantage of your purity, took advantage of your heart, and left you in that cloud of unknowing, left you feeling confused, Pisces. And you don't deserve that. Okay. Let's look at your energy towards them, Pisces, your thoughts and feelings towards your person. The Wheel of Fortune. So there is a completion of something. The tides are changing. Oh, you're wanting truth from this person, truth and clarity. And that's all that you're willing to accept, Pisces. And things will never change for the better if clarity doesn't come first. If clarity isn't, what's the word I'm looking for? Prioritized. Because you can't do the wishy-washy. You can't do the ambiguity. You can't do the, you know, someone's with me because I'm beautiful. Because you have an awful lot of depth and you have such a kind, soft heart, Pisces, and you deserve that, to be loved exactly the same as the love that you give. Any love that you give out, you deserve it back. And sometimes whenever we get in a connection with someone who loves in a different way and they have different capacities, it can leave us feeling confused and frustrated. And in life, there are more rigid and difficult personalities to love. Does that mean that they don't deserve love? Absolutely not. But you have to take accountability for the shadows that you bring forward in a connection and work together. But I think this person didn't want to. Obviously not. They shut down and ran. You know, they didn't. And also, I feel you came with truth to them, Pisces, and it hurt their ego. They would rather you say, you know, nice things. There's a couple of energies coming in. You know, whenever, would you rather the harsh truth or, you know, a beautiful lie? And in some ways, I think this person would have preferred a beautiful lie, you know, to play along with the games. It hurt their ego. They're quite a vain person. Like, whenever you say something and it's really in a bid for connection, they saw it as a jab at them, who they are as a person, and they saw themselves as bad, and that to be a flaw, and them to be fundamentally broken as a person. and it hurt them. And of course, that's not what you were trying to do, Pisces. That's just their own triggers, their own ways of being activated and not facing the wounds that cause them to retreat. And why is it so hurtful when someone comes forward and says how you treat them? Because you're wanting to fix the situation. You're just saying, this is how I feel. Actions doesn't, you're not saying someone's bad at their core. It's just how someone's behavior, and behavior can be changed. That's it. And it hurt them because they like to see themselves as being the good person. So they ran away from any sense of negativity, from any sense of being called out on flaws. You're wanting them to provide something real, not be afraid of the truth. You want it to change. So you could be on the counterpart journey. You could be very different. You could be polar opposites, but be energetically tied on the same frequency. You're both learning lessons from one another. This person wasn't able to face. You're wanting reciprocity. They took advantage. We have Page of Pentacles, the Lovers, Six of Pentacles. They took advantage of your generosity. You're understanding that this person isn't as experienced in relationships as you on an emotional level. They preferred surface level. They go after looks, perhaps status, where you want that depth. You could be dealing with Leo or Pisces or Virgo, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. Taking the quiet time to see how this situation is going to pan out, Pisces. You're going on, living your life, caring for others and caring for yourself, pouring into yourself, but staying grounded. Perhaps you're going to therapy, therapeutic healing for yourself. I did mention you could work in the service industry, so you could be a therapist. Someone in this connection could be a therapist or seeking out therapy. Perhaps you told this person that it would be a good idea if they went to therapy, and again, they were insulted by this. They're seeing everything as a flaw, as a threat, whereas you just again wanted a bid for connection to try and understand the person, to try help them heal, to guide them in the right way. Things are changing. Old ways are dying. Old coping mechanisms. You're able to see through the clouds and cut through the BS. The confusion has been cut through, sifted through. You're not confused anymore, Pisces. The wool's not pulled over your eyes anymore, yes. I think this person was a smooth talker, Pisces. This is their energy towards you. So, person's energy towards Pisces, please, Spirit. Nine of Cups. Nine of Pentacles. Ace of Pentacles. So they see you as a wish fulfillment, and that's what scared them. They do want to take charge and to show you differently, to ground the relationship, to show you a lot more than superficiality. They have regrets. They want to be as nurturing as you have been. They just don't have the tools. Five of Swords. They were combative. That's just validating what I was saying about your words being a threat rather than a cause for resolution, to work together, to try and find something grounding and to understand what each person needs from the relationship. And they withheld that from you. They became cold, stubborn, rigid. And you may have also scared them with the truth. They didn't expect you to be so icy cold, but you had your limits, Pisces. Ace of Wands. They've been very attracted towards you. They want to start up something real, but keep it grounded. They think they think about you passionately. They're very stimulated by you. They see you as an all-rounder, stimulating intellectually. Wheel of Fortune. So you both got the Wheel of Fortune. So it can go either way. You have to focus on the positive. I know that sounds cliche. You really have to focus on what it is that you want, Pisces. What are you trying to manifest? You're at a very important time of transition in this connection in your life. You both met each other for a reason. So is this person to stay forever, or is this person here to teach you lessons about yourself? Self-realization was in the card before. I'm pretty sure it was this reading. Oh, it wasn't the reading that had silence, but self-realization, actualization, raising your vibration. You seem to be slightly ahead in the transformation, Pisces. They see you as a wish fulfillment. They know that you give them so much love. They just didn't know how to receive it. It was threatening to their ego. They don't mind being seen as vain. They don't mind being seen as superficial, because that's how they keep their guard up. So no one gets in. They keep their heart guarded. But you saw depth in them. You mirrored each other. You recognized each other's inner child. Very charming, this person. To be hot one minute and then be cutthroat the next. So the Magician. This person's focusing on taking all that wisdom that they have learnt in the connection and how to use it to manifest a reunion. To manifest how to show up better. You could be dealing with a Gemini. Manifest a meeting. They want to reconnect with you. I can definitely see they want to reconnect with you with a lot of physical passion. So if that's what you're looking for, Pisces, by all means, you grab it. You grab it. You know what I'm saying? Oh God, excuse me. You've lived your life, but you have waited for this person to return and to show up properly and to provide some real proof of change, and not just in the bedroom, as we do have immature energy. So you could be dealing with age difference in this connection. Let's see. 9 of Pentacles. Yeah, they want to be as generous as you have been with them. They're tired of withholding their energy. They're tired of the chasing and running, the back and forth. They want to remain grounded in your life. They're just trying to see, do they have the skills? Have they worked enough on themselves to remain rooted in your life? Because the attraction's there, the heat, the passion's there. But once the feelings come into play, they overthink, with the swords. They can become combative, and a lot of times this is internal. You could have a great connection, but they deal with a lot of internal strife and internal guilt. The feeling of not being good enough, and they want to feel good enough next to you, Pisces, because they see you as such an abundant person, full of love, very giving, stable, generous, someone who's courageous and just being themselves, being authentic. You like to help people out. You be in that phase of your life where you can sit back and you can kind of enjoy the fruits of your labor, while this person could be still climbing up the ladder, or even just growing emotionally, and they feel immature next to you. So it makes them frightened and run away. So when they get a bit of heat and passion, it's like great, and then they dip back out again. And that's not fair if you're looking for something stable and committed. So you got to put that King of Swords boundaries up. King, Queen, the King came out. Remember, that's energy, so it doesn't matter, masculine or feminine. The person doesn't want to play games. Sometimes the Magician can be manipulative. They don't want to be manipulative anymore. They don't want to bait you into something, into false promises, future faking. They want to ground the future. Now, the timeline's going to be different for everyone. You both have similar cards in your energies. So while it may not seem like anything's happening in the silence, sometimes a lot happens in the silence. You give them that breathing space to let them feel the guilt, to let them feel what it is like without you to save them. So by withdrawing your energy, you've shown them what life can be like without you. It's like the ego breaking down, getting rid of that facade, of that vanity, of that seeking shallower connections. Because they're starved of the depth. And you can't live forever in that. Crumbs. Physical passion's one thing, but you need more to sustain a relationship. Some advice for you, Pisces. My beautiful fishies. Advice for Pisces. Advice for Pisces during this time. Please, advice for Pisces during this time, please. The past. Oh, that's such beautiful colours. Someone could really like cocktails. Sitting on the beach, you could be on your way to a holiday. You could be on vacation. You may have met this person on vacation. You could accidentally bump into this person doing something to do with lifeguards. Miami Vice. So the past. So you both could have synastry, or you could both have similar moon signs, or synastry and moon signs. Cancer, Pisces. Reminiscing on the past, Pisces. So your advice is you can be nostalgic, but don't let it pull you down. Let the past be in the past. Learn from the past. Don't hold resentment, and don't base your worth on anyone else's poor actions towards you, because that's a reflection of them, not you. Anyone who treats you poorly, they feel insecure around certain energies, around certain people, and that is not anything that you have done. That's wounds that they have to look at and they have to work on. You keep shining, you keep being yourself, but whenever you are a healer and a giver, Pisces, you have to have boundaries and you have to be discerning. And there will always be a level of what you're willing to put up with and withdraw. Everyone's different. Okay, so let's go for their higher self. What does their higher self want to say, Pisces? I'm using my little deck, Fuel and Fire Oracle. So what does their higher self want to say, Spirit? Pisces. Your kiss feels like it was meant for me. I imagine having fun with you in the most random places. That's on their mind right now. Being physical. They honestly, they feel very passionate towards you. They find you very attractive. I'm hearing that song. I noticed you around. I find you very attractive. Guide me, I trust you. So they trust you a lot in the physical sense. It's just they have a tight grip on everything else, on their emotions. They keep locked up. They tend to get lost in their head a lot. They do. I think that they deal with a lot of guilt and shame. I imagine our breath on each other's skin, but they don't open up about this because they see that as vulnerability, as weakness. So they want to come back stronger. Putting all the lessons together, the Wheel of Fortune, the Magician, manifesting an elevated life, a better self, reaching for you. So they think about you a lot in that sense. Please don't reject my softness. So also, Pisces, perhaps there were ways that this person was showing you their softness, but it wasn't your idea of softness. And again, it dented their ego. They just didn't have the skills and capacity to be able to communicate maturely with you. And that's what the Magician is doing now. Working together, working towards how to move forward with you. having all their ducks in a row, alchemizing the lessons and using the tools to produce a better life and a better connection. Get you some astro dice. This is just for extra confirmation. You'll be dealing with Aries Sun, number 1. So Aries in the first house, Aries first deacon. Could be dealing with a very forthright, very fiery person. And if they're still in their shadow, it could be a little bit too domineering, a little bit too aggressive for you, Pisces. Maybe you were intimidated, you didn't feel confident enough to state your boundaries and state your need. Maybe you went along with them thinking over time, okay, they're bound to change. You know, they are going to transform. That's just a natural progression of the relationship. But I feel if it is that deep soul connection, they felt way too triggered and caused them to withdraw. So 1 could be life path number also. It's a very dominant energy you're dealing with, Pisces. You can see this. And to have that freedom, to have your vibration elevated, is what we came on into the word for. And you focus on your mission in life. You follow your bliss. This connection, these types of connections make you, or quote unquote break you. And they may break you for a while, not forever. Nuh-uh. And I don't believe in broken. You can have a fractured sense of self or soul, but that can be worked on. But again, you have to be willing to put in the work. So MFAXW. This can be initials, or if you find a word, it's like countdown. Q and Z. Here I can get you a couple more. B. Oh, Lord. B. So huge changes, Pisces. You're not going to be confused anymore. You just need to see this change rooted and grounded in reality and not get lost in the fantasy, Pisces. And D. So LS, D. Perhaps this is something you guys like to do together, but again, that just points to the fantasy. It's like it's being able to understand each other on an energetic level, but perhaps in the 3D, not so much. And it's that fantasy, that points to, you're seeing a different reality now. And you've grown from it. Where the person ran. But they're coming into their own. They had to use this silence to regain that sense of control, the perceived control, but to get a grip in their own life and their own emotions. Because they do want to come forward. They do want to ground the relationship. And they don't want to seem foolish. They don't want to play games anymore. So they take this time out so real change can happen, real transition happens. And to not make the same mistakes as before. Of course, new mistakes can happen, but to repeat the same. Okay, Pisces, thank you so much for watching. I hope it resonated, and I will see you in the next one. Love ya. Hey, Pisces. So I found this on the floor whenever I was about to clean up from your reading, and I wanted to come back and thought it was important to say. So this person sees you as their guiding star. And while they deal with that ego, that threat to ego, and their internal wars, the inner conflict, they want to make it right. So there's a lot of hope, Pisces. You stay grounded within yourself, and this person will figure it out.